Okay, so we're going to look at creating an assembly right here and then a drawing afterwards. So we'll start by clicking on new, and this time we want to go right into here to create a standard assembly, a .iam file. And we'll go ahead and hit create on this. Okay, it brings up this blank thing over here. You can see that we're dealing with an assembly over here. Things up here look a little bit different. Okay, so what I want to go ahead is start and place some content. So we will start with um, there it is from the files. Make sure you grab the files. I think I clicked on Content Center. Anyway, put my base plate in there. Okay, and click open. Okay, and I'm gonna just rearrange it so you can see what I'm looking at a little bit better. Zoom out a little bit, right? So I've got this. So I'm gonna go ahead and right click, and I'm gonna put this first one. I'm gonna have it grounded right at the origin. Okay, and then I could keep selecting ones if I have them. Okay, but I only have one part that I want to place. But if I had numerous of a single part, I could keep adding them here. I'll just go ahead and right click and click OK. Okay, so I've got that guy. Now I'm going to go ahead and place my bearing here. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and open that one. Okay, so here's my bearing. Again, now I'm going to put it where I want and put some constraints on it. So I'll just left click to place it. And again, I could place as many of these as I want, but I only need the one. So I'll right click and click OK. Okay, now a good way to look at what's going on here is I can go under view and I can click on degrees of freedom. Okay, and you can see over here that I can move this any which way I want. Okay, and I've got rotation and arrows. I can move it however I want on this. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to do a series of constraints. Okay, so I'll go ahead and click on constrain, and mainly what you'll be doing is what's called a mate constraint, which is this guy right here, where you select two surfaces and kind of put them together. So I'll select this top surface here, okay, and then I'll select this surface back here, okay, and it will kind of mate them like that, okay, and put those two together. So we've got mate, or I could do flush, would basically put them facing the same direction. So do you want them facing each other or in the same direction? That's the difference between mate and flush. Okay, now watch when I go ahead and hit OK here, what happens to my degrees of freedom. Okay, you can see that I've got arrows. Okay, I can keep moving this, but no matter how I move it, it's going to stay mated to that top surface. Okay, so to completely constrain this guy, I'm going to do another constrain. Okay, and I'm going to constrain, this time I'm going to constrain these axes here. Maybe. Sometimes it's hard to click on. There we go. There's that axis, and I'll go ahead and do this axis over here. Sometimes it's a little tricky to grab the axis. There we go. And you can see that it mated those two axes. Now, you can either have them oppose. Well, I can't really do the opposed. That would flip it the other way, which I can't do. But you can go around and play with these. Okay, but generally when you mate them up, if you place the other mate constraint, it's good to go. So I can go ahead and hit OK on this. Now watch my degrees of freedom. Not sure what I did wrong here. Okay. Now, if I try to move this, you can see I still have that one single constraint left on here. Okay, so to finish this up, I can just constrain, and I'll just constrain these two axes, that axis, and this axis, and hit OK. Now you see my degrees of freedom completely went away on that. Okay, so now if I want to place another component, I bring my collar down here, okay, and I hit open. Again, I'm going to place that, click OK. Now I will do a constraint that's an insert command, okay, where insert is really just two mate commands. And honestly, I'd prefer just doing two mate commands, but I'll show you how to do that. So if you want, basically you're mating the axes as well as the surfaces. So I'll click on that surface right there, and that is going to mate. Nope. Actually, that's not the one I wanted, so let me cancel this. This is why I'd rather just do the two mates. So it'll actually be, I'll do that circle and this circle. Oops. Try one more time. I forgot to click insert this time. So again, I want that circle mated up and inserted with that circle. And you can see then it lines right in there. And I click OK. Now you can see that the still have a degree of freedom. If I try to grab this, you can spin like this. So if I want to finish locking this up, I can constrain. Okay. And what I'll do this time, just to show it to you, is an angle constraint where I pick two angles. And you can actually select, if you want, these sketching planes that are on there. Okay, so that would be 0 degrees. You know, I could do like a 30-degree angle, something like that. Okay, and you'll play around with these. You'll try different things. I guess I didn't show you the offset, but you know, if you need to do that, I bet you can figure that out when you go through the make commands. Okay, but so there you go. So now that one's fully constrained and things of that nature. Okay, so now everything's constrained. If for some reason you need to move them, maybe see what you're doing, or create an exploded view, okay, you can go into what we call free move, and you can, you know, again, create kind of an exploded view if you want to. Again, not necessary. If you want to get back to where you want, you just click on the local update and it'll snap it back to the way it was if you want that. You can make edits just like you in here, just like you can in the part view or the drawing view. So if I want, say, to make a change to this base plate, I can right click on it and hit edit, and it'll basically open up all of the sketches and everything on there, right? So you've got like this extrusion. I'll do these guys. So I'm going to go ahead and edit these holes. So I can go into edit sketch, right? And I can change, you know, that diameter, maybe we'll call it a 1/4 inch instead. Click OK. And then if I finish my sketch, okay, you see that it changed those holes for me, and they're now smaller. Some of them were linked, so apparently not all of them, but you get the idea there. And it'll actually update, you know, that file if necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and hit return. It'll save that file, update it back where it was. So you can go ahead and make constraints, change them on there, or edit the features. One other thing I wanted to show, you've got all these mate features in here, right? So again, I can delete any one of these. I could alter them, right? So like, for example, let me show you, let me go back in here, do this mate, and we'll do edit. And I'll show you, you know, you can do an offset. So you could do an offset of like 1 inch, which would lift it up. You put a minus on it, this will be weird because it'll actually go through, oops, not 11, -1, it'll go like that. But you can go in, you can make changes. It's keeping things together just like it always does, right? So, and again, there's that offset. I didn't show you how to do that. Okay, but I'll go back to 0, click OK. But you can go in and make any changes that you want over here, just like a lot of the things in Inventor. Or you can just delete something, right? So if I'm like, I don't like this angle, you can right click on it, hit delete, and then I'm back to being able to spin this guy if I want to. Again, if you want to delete it, you can, just like everything, if you screw something up or need to make a change, you can easily go back in and do that. The other thing you can do is you actually create a new part right in here. So as you're doing this MBO, you're like, oh, I need a pin, or, you know, whatever. Okay, and you can go ahead and create the part, give it a name. It's location, part 3 is fine with me. I'll go ahead and click OK. Okay, and now it says, hey, what's the base plane? And I'll just choose this plane since it's sitting out there. Okay, and what I'm now in is I'm basically, now you see everything flips back to the part drawings, right? So I can go ahead and start a 2D sketch, right? And I'll do it on, you know, that plane. Okay, and I'm gonna project the bottom of this guy just so I have something to link to, and I'm gonna go ahead and draw a little rectangle. This is how they do it in the book, right? And I can just draw a rectangle like this, hit finish sketch. Now I can actually extrude this, right, and just kind of create my part, right? So I extrude it 3 inches or whatever it is, hit OK, and I've created this block in here. So now I have a separate part in there called part 1. and I can create that if I want, okay, or not. And again, you can go in and make changes, add whatever you want to it. So let's say we're done now. Let's go ahead and create an assembly drawing. So once we get this, we'll go ahead and save it. That's fine. Wherever it's saving it, sure. Yes to all is fine. Okay. Okay. And then what we'll do here is we are going to start a drawing. Okay. And we're going to create an assembly drawing. Okay. So we're going to pop in our base view here, and you choose whatever view looks the best. Probably this isometric is going to be fine for me. I want a little bit bigger, or if you want, you can. There we go. You can change the page size or whatever, but go ahead and place your view, click OK, and it puts that view right in there. We've done views before, so hopefully that's nothing new and exciting, right? Okay. So I've got that guy placed in there. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is create a parts list, which is under annotate now that I've got my base view placed in there. Okay. Come over here to parts list. Okay. You select the view. I want the parts list of this guy here. Okay. And you can play around with this. I'll show you how to get in and do it later. I'm just going to go ahead and place it in there, click OK. Okay. And then this is it. We should usually go down in the lower right corner, and I can place that parts list right in there. Okay, now if I want to edit this, I can go in and I can go ahead, edit parts list, and you can do things like choose what columns you put in there, right? And these are all coming from, like, remember that iProperties menu that we created? Okay, so like material and who drew it, whatever you want. So for example, I could remove description if I want, and let me say I add the author, whoever created it, and I can choose those. I'll go ahead and hit OK on this, and you can see that who exactly authored it, and I remove things like that. You could also come in, you can edit the parts list, and you can go, where's the table layout? Go into table layout. You can do things like flip it so the parts, the headings are on the bottom. You can get rid of the title. I think this is what the book does. You could call it bill of materials if you prefer, whatever. You can click OK and OK, and you see this time it flips it, puts it on the bottom. Whatever works for you. You can play around, edit things as necessary. The last thing we would need to do here is add balloons, okay? Because again, these all have an item number, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and add a balloon, and you can just go through, click on the part where you want the arrow to go, and then drag out the balloon, left click to place it, and then right click to continue. So again, click the part, click the location, right click, continue. Click the part, place the balloon, right click, continue, and then this guy. Okay, and there you have it. And you can see that parts 1, 2, and 3 line up to parts 1, 2, and 3 down here. Okay, so at this point you've got your complete. This is all we need for an assembly drawing. You got your parts list, you got your balloons. The book will walk you through creating a bill of materials. You don't really need to worry about that. Once you have this, you would just save this, and this would be the drawing. So when you create the assembly drawing, this is what we're looking for. You first create the assembly, then you create the drawing with the parts lists and the balloons and everything along those lines.